Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, and welcome into another Titan Talk. It is March 6th, and it's OB30 balance overview. I'll be honest, I was saying this just before we came in. I'm like, these base stat adjustments that we're doing is going to change the game.
Yeah, it's
we should probably kick off with
yeah,
that.
Yeah, so we didn't do pretty much any balance on Wednesday because it wasn't in yet. So we have that balance to go over today. People didn't get a chance to playtest with this as well, so like this is going to be kind of new. But we did a base stat adjustment with the kind of goal of making sure that that character differences felt a bit more pronounced.
Yeah.
We evened that out intentionally in SMITE 2, but it did remove a lot of the texture, some variety, and it also kind of removed some texture of how characters build. We don't want to go all the way back to SMITE 1, but we think there's room for some texture improvement, as well as a mana change where character mana regeneration is going to be more at a premium, which means that if mana items are more valuable, things that give you mana, like solo laners fighting over the totem is a lot more meaningful now. Things like that. So
my mana regen items could be more impactful, is what we're getting at. And that was what the understanding was on Wednesday when we did the show.
Yeah.
Now I've realized, as you just mentioned, that the base stats of all gods are getting ever so slightly tweaked here and there, including movement speed, attack damage.
Yeah. So, and this is also a good chance to kind of go look at what we did, because like basically every designer who kind of came on was like, okay, when I own a character, I'm just going to decide the base stats. And they put some thought into it, obviously, but like it's kind of like a whatever the vibes are. But when you get to look at all the characters and try to rebalance them holistically with following some kind of rule set, you'd be like, oh, this character seems like it's actually kind of weird that this character has this kind of base stat. So there's also a lot of shifting around. I think the only, like, it's a big list. It's going to impact the game a ton. Generally, tanks are tankier, mages are squishier, and characters with like ranged, with more ability focused are going to be less attack damage oriented. Right. Characters that need to get in melee range or characters that are less ability focused are going to get more attack damage.
Okay. Things
like that are the general rules. And we should just show the list and scroll it.
Yeah, I was going to real quick, but just real quick on like the generals. These aren't like set in stone, first of all, and some of these are kind of a feels of what the god realistically should be.
Yeah, I already actually changed some from internal tests, because Sun Wukong actually had probably too high base health based off him being so ability focused and so range poke focused. So we'll definitely be willing to change these things. I'm also looking at potential routes where like aspect, because now that I've kind of pushed the characters a bit more, like Geb aspect is kind of my go-to example right now.
Sure.
He got, I think, a lot more health.
Yeah.
And he probably needs some kind of
speed buff there as well. I saw at the base.
Yeah,
I was looking at Geb.
He probably needs some specific
his
adjustments
movement
for him
speed
in
went
the
down
aspect,
though. What the hell? He could roll.
He can roll. When he's rolling, he's fast, but when he's not rolling, he's a boulder.
Before I showcase this real quick, is this already on PTS? Was this be on PTS later on?
Unless we did another build.
Okay.
I don't know if we did another build.
I don't think we have yet.
Okay, that was just the first one. Now this list should be available. It will be available for everyone to read as well. We've made it online already. It should be on SMITE Prime as a heads up for this whole list, because it will be separate to the usual balance document that we do, because it is so big. But I will showcase this real quick.
Just give it a scroll.
Just give it a scroll. 33
pages. As
you
can see, it's 32 pages of every god ever, with an adjustment to each of their stats. Any specific god randomly to pick out? Just pick one?
Yeah, just pick it. Actually, Baron's, I think.
Baron's a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, so health going down slightly at the start of the game, but health per level going down as well. So overall, you'll see his level cap out is actually back
so he's going to be squishier in early trades that you face against him. His attack damage is down a little bit. His attack damage per level is down a little bit as well. So he's going to be a character that like is just going to be over like. If you build him support role and you're building him that kind of enchanter role for your team, if you build him purely that way with like life binder and utility items, you're going to be noticeably less tanky. So as like when you need to fill that frontline role, you won't be able to as well, which means you have to invest more into tankiness if you want to kind of do that role.
So he's kind of forcing people to lean in the direction that they should be leaning in with the character that they're playing. Okay.
And I think another example is like, because Baron's support is a good example that we've heard from people where like, well, he can just poke me with abilities and he can range auto attack me, so I don't feel like a meaningful trade. If you go look at like I'm gonna pick let's do. I guess we could do Geb again.
Sure. Let's. I'm
Geb's
so
base health
I'm
is
not gonna lie. The movement speed hurts me, man. Like it's 5, but it just hurts. That's all I can see. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, Geb's base health has gone up.
Yep.
His attack damage has also gone up. So in the sense of like that early trade, if you're gonna like it be like 1 to 5 facing Baron versus Geb,
he's gonna be a bit tankier.
He's gonna be tankier. He's gonna have more health to play with. And he's also going to be able to actually trade a little bit better in those auto attack trades.
Okay.
A lot of supports actually went up to 45 even. So like they'll even be more swinging than they were before. So that's the kind of tweaks we're looking at here. Again,
you can see
mana,
there's
you can
attack
also
speed,
see,
you know, mana per level, mana regen per level, movement speed, attack damage. So every single god has kind of had a pass with this.
And there's some characters that like are, I think, people would consider to be fast that were like at 365 speed.
Yeah.
And I think there's some characters that were considered slow that were at 380. So like there's a lot of normalization to happen there.
Interesting.
And then mana regen, I think, is another one to look at, which is you can see that mana per second has gone from 2 to 1.33 on Geb.
Yeah.
And the per level has been halved.
Right.
This is a pretty significant change to where mana regen is going to be more meaningful.
Sure.
You have to be more careful with how you use it in the wave.
Yeah.
And that's going to make, especially the early lane trades, more meaningful. It's going to make any mana upgrade you get is more meaningful. Solo laners controlling the totem is a lot more impactful. And if you choose to do things like, I'm going to burn all my abilities to kill the fire imps, right?
Yeah. Then you're not going to have it afterwards.
Yeah, you're not going to have it afterwards.
Yeah.
Or blue buff invades are going to be more meaningful there. So you want to make sure that like that's going to be something like junglers are probably going to have to come over to make sure that they can help defend that from people trying to steal it.
Cool. And you can name one there as well as just the mana per level. The max level you can see level 20. That's where you'll really feel the difference of like 7 versus 3.7 just for the overall there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to note is that like Smite 1's spread is still generally greater than what this is, right? Like we want to make sure that characters have capacity to flex and do interesting things.
Sure.
And the fact that we kind of brought all base stats closer helps
Together,
accomplish that. But there's always the band, right? Like you
Yeah.
can go way bigger in a spread, you can go way smaller in a spread. We're just choosing to be a bit wider than we were before, so that there's a bit more of that kind of like when you build Baron in the lane, it should feel like you are less tankier, but you have other utility that makes you a good support to be good in that role.
That's fair.
You're not just also going to be for free tanky as well. And that's like a thing that like Geb, who needs to be much more closer in range, he kind of needs an extra tankiness for his kit to function and feel like it's meaningfully different than Baron's. We're just trying to add some of that back versus going all the way back to what we did in Smite 1.
Okay. You can ask something?
No, I was just gonna say, chat as always is,
Sure.
Having hot take reactions.
They
right?
will.
Yep.
And I think that like, there's people, the initial reaction is like, so now builds don't matter. Smite 2 ideology erased. Like that's definitely not what we're saying here, right? We still think that gods are valuable in multiple roles, right? This is still nowhere near to the same level that Smite 1 was. The idea is really just to give a god a little bit more of an identity and make sure they always feel like that god, regardless of what role they're playing in.
Yeah. But also the items are going to be more impactful because it's not going to be a cookie cutter build for every god now. In my mind, if I'm playing support and I'm playing Geb versus Baron, my build is going to be completely different based off what I'm going to be needing.
Yeah, you should feel the different strengths and weaknesses of your builds a bit more. Again, if you're playing that kind of Lifebinder support enchanter style of play style, you are trading off a lot of defense in that build, and it's going to be more felt now. But you're getting a lot of we can actually potentially buff back Lifebinder some because you're not so for free tanky, right? Like that's the nice thing about this is when characters have a bit more of like their own identity, you can make it so that when items are more when items need to carry more of the weight of the identity, they can actually carry more of that weight to them because you're not just getting so much for free.
No.
There was a question here. We did say on Wednesday that each character would excel in a particular stat because that was something we were talking about at the time.
Yes.
Is there a way to see how that's reflected here?
There's not. I have a spreadsheet that has it all.
Have you got an example god that's just like, it's higher than the rest? Is
if you look at Ymir has the highest per level health.
Okay.
Same with Thanatos. Thanatos is actually interesting. His base stat
108
started out. So if you see someone that has 108 as their health per level, that is the high that I basically have a 0.92 1.08 times effectiveness of a stat that we consider, and then there's one that pumps up to 1.15 times multiplier. That's the 1.15 times multiplier. So if you see 108.1, that was the stat I chose for them. Every stat has that number, so if you can find that number on every stat, you'll find it. Mercury's movement speed is 383.
Yep. So probably highest in the game, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Thanatos is another interesting character because what I actually did for him was he has the lowest tier base health I could give him, but he has the highest per level that I could give him.
Okay.
So he actually has a very he's very squishy in the early game, which I think matches his ability to lifesteal and really high pressure. And then as he scales later, he actually gets the bulk because he's diving into the team. He generally plays with his health more in general. It's kind of a theme for him. So it just felt like I tried to add flavor where I could as well on that type of thing. So even though just different characters, Anhur is actually slightly base health tankier than most other carries because he has to leap in and engage. there's a lot of stuff like that. People have fun kind of looking at it. People have fun also saying like we got the wrong stat, and that's fine. We can look at it.
I was going to say this is like the very first pass of this. We know it's going to have some potential knock-on effects where some gods may be undertuned, overtuned a little bit, but we will go back through and continue to iterate on this. It seems to be the plan.
Yeah, and someone asked, is it possible to give characters different base stats between the base kit and aspects? What I'll probably end up doing, because I was discussing this with the ambassadors, is for some aspects, instead of giving them a whole new base stat spread, I might do something like Geb aspect for his ADC role. He just gets -5 base health, which means -5% or -5% base health and per level health.
Okay.
And I might just put that as like -5% base health on the aspect, so it's there.
Gotcha.
Because that's an easy modifier I can add. I don't have to make a whole new table for it. And I think it's also easier to parse because if I have to tell people like, here's all the stats that have changed for this, versus I can just kind of do like 1 or 2 small tweaks here to basically help the role feel a bit more accurate. That's probably what I'll do.
Okay. So aspects will be looked at in the future. We're going to get through the base level first of all, and then look to iterate on those too. Okay. So that will be a lot of data for everyone to cover. I will say, like next week, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of flourishes, what's OP in everyone's mind to begin with, and what really is OP.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I was holding back on this because I wanted to like God base stats are really heavily tied to things like Rada Tahuti removal and percent penetration.
Right, okay.
I was going to kind of try and keep that all in one pass, but I felt like adding this diversity was probably good to do instead of just holding on to it forever. Because, again, the far problem of Rada Tahuti and pen is going to be something we have to tackle. And that takes more time than I had for this patch to get done, so...
Bit by bit is kind of
bit by bit
what we're doing. And I will mention, like, obviously the role passives that came in last patch too, we expected we'd see some knock-on of people going, man, this mid one doesn't seem that great. But we knew in iteration this was kind of the direction we were going. Yeah. So this is like the follow-up to that almost, which makes that passive a little bit more valuable.
Yeah, definitely having the mana regen mid lane. And then just, we'll get to it, but like Sands of Time,
item changes.
Nerfed, right? We'll have item changes as well to help support this as well.
And I guess we can move on to the items and god changes if you'd like to.
Yeah,
we're both ready. Already? Okay, in we go with our OB30 overview. We're going to start off with items here. And obviously this is alongside all these base changes to the god. So Bluestone Pendant is going to be getting a buff. We're going to see a cost reduction of this item and also a mana regen increase. Obviously, I guess the mana regen going to be useful there. And also we've not been seeing as much of it.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of it. Especially losing the health regen was probably healthy for it because it's really meant to be more of an ability spam focused item. And so this kind of change helps move that in that direction. And the extra cost reduction means you get an extra health potion if you want. You get an extra mana potion. More likely probably a multi-pot, which just helps in the laning phase. So this should be a nice buff for it.
Bumble's Cudgel up next is also getting the buff. Going to see the damage go up to 20, but also increasing the cooldown reduction from 0.75 to 0.75.
Yeah, just add some more weight for the characters who can utilize the kind of in-hand, like the Hydra's Lament style proc effectively.
And Bubba's Hammer also getting the same adjustment for the upgraded version, but also we fixed an issue there with the AoE cleave. We're still doing bonus damage to jungle monsters, so expect to see the clear go down a little bit when you're using that one. Heroism, the upgraded version, is increased physical protections from 40 to 45 at base of both of those.
Yep, just more payoff for it.
It makes sense, especially because it's level 20 before you get that now, not at 15. So getting those extra protections online does make some sense. And then Sands of Time, we did mention this across 2 pages. Remove the true damage dealt to minions. Is that all that was on it? Oh, my bad. I thought there was another note on that.
Yeah, so we one of the things we wanted to do when we made these starter items more like anyone could build them with adaptive.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that each one had its own special identity. And actually, Sands of Time, we added that originally because mana was not super meaningful in Smite 2.
Gotcha.
And so we're like, this is going to be
it needs something else.
It needs something else.
Yeah.
Now that mana is more meaningful, we don't think we need this true damage.
So we feel the value of Sands of Time. We're already like pre-nerfing Sands of Time in preparation for
this. Yeah, Bluestone is if you want extra damage proc. Sands of Time is for cooldown and mana regen, and then Conduit's for like higher pressure instant burst poke.
And it might still be potent, and we may still make further adjustments. That's Sands of Time. Next up, Warrior's Axe is getting a shift, decreasing the strength and intelligence of this item to 10 and 20 respectively. Decrease the base damage proc from 30 to 20. However, we are increasing the base heal proc from 30 to 40, so a little bit more sustained from this.
Yeah, so you still get that kind of health shift, but it's not so lethal to your opponent, and it kind of helps you stay in the combat longer.
Okay.
This is meant to be for you to be able to brawl more effectively and for longer, and so this just helps move that identity. And again, differentiate it more from things like Conduit Gem.
Yeah. Vampiric Shroud also on the list here with a buff, going to be seeing that cost reduction from 650 to 600 and increase the health heal from 3 to 4. Also with the Blood Soaked Shroud here, 275 to 350 is going to be the adjustment there. Strength is going up, intelligence is going up, but we've removed the heal increase from kills from 0.1% to 0.
Yeah, so this normalizes its power a little bit, so that's just more generically useful, because we actually get a lot of feedback in Conquest that this item isn't that great.
Right.
And so having a bit more health, having more strength, having more intelligence on it just helps it. Same with the base version being, you can get extra multi-pot or a potion, which is really, really helpful. But the heal increase from kills, especially in some of the side modes like Assault, where you could have you could have 18 kills reasonably in Assault games.
There's a lot of kills.
It just makes it so that you're too reliably able to punch up to the point where it's overbearing. And so we can better control its strength overall and make it a more generically useful item in a lot of the modes versus it being like kind of an only Assault special.
Eros Bow getting a buff. This was there once upon a time, but it looks like it's been rebuffed back now. It's 1.5% healing is now going to go to 2% of your max health. Is this just lack of play and it's kind of fallen out of the meta now?
Lack of play, and I think also with the stat specialization changes, we're going to see like you have to build more to support this item than you did before. So we think it's worthwhile kind of making the payoff more.
Interesting one on this one, out of the blue that came out of nowhere. I'm like, what? Okay. Ragnarok's Wake. We're just going to reduce the travel time. So you're just going to get there quicker?
Yeah, you're going to get
Is
there
that pretty
quicker.
much it?
Yeah,
so
you'll still have the same
meteor.
Yeah.
I kind of like the little time in the air, 2.5 seconds of chilling.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds, but this just helps you land it. And we see that this item gets some use, but it's actually fallen off quite a bit.
Sure.
I think people kind of realize that, it's really hard to land. There's a lot of setup time for it, but it is a cool effect.
Slot that sometimes you want. Yep.
So we think this will just help you be able to more reliably get to fights in, like, you'll probably still be relevant to the fight by the time you've landed.
Sure. Staff of Mirrodin going to be getting a buff this patch as well. We're increasing the intelligence of this from 70 to 85. Is the main reason they're just a bit of a buff to staff for its usefulness?
Yeah, it's just one of those items that like it hasn't seen as much play, so we just want to make sure it's a little bit more impactful.
And then last one of the items is Talisman of Purification. Increase the cooldown rate of this from 15 to 20.
Yeah, this was one that was previously an active item before we did the whole like active relic adjustments, and we think that it didn't get the kind of same stats. Like it was kind of underutilized even then, and so when we converted it, it didn't really get any buffs to kind of compensate for that. So this just help it stand out more.
And next, we're going to move on to gods. Obviously, I didn't do a great job of breaking down this page, so everyone's already been reading this ahead of time, but we'll go through the gods as well. Now, this comes alongside all the base level adjustments to these characters too, but Aladdin is going to be seeing some more nerfs at the moment. He is just a very tricky god, I feel like. When he's in the hands of a master, he's amazing, but I do see people still struggle with him at times.
Yeah, the nice thing is after the change we did, he's a lot more reasonable. Like the kind of top end and the bottom end are a lot closer than before, so I actually feel more comfortable nerfing him like this.
Okay.
That was kind of the overall goal, was to kind of see if we could get to a point where that was the case. This one really focuses on making so that Sultan's Grace isn't so bursty. So this all-in commit is not going to be as impactful when you all-in commit.
Yeah.
And then into the lamp, obviously that damage is also going down, and your ability to be super protective in the lamp is going down. These are probably the parts that impact the top level play pretty significantly, because like knowing when to all-in with Sultan's Grace and like just being able to play with that bonus protections and really isolate a target and into the lamp, you're gonna have to be a bit more selective about how you engage here with this ability now. But things like the one poke, which is I think generally like things that people of all skill level can do, stays pretty strong. And so this should hopefully target more of that top end play by keeping him still pretty good in the all other levels of play.
So overall, Sultan's Grace is going to see a decrease in damage coming out from that, and into the lamp as well. We'll see a decrease, but also the protections and survivability of Aladdin in his lamp. Discordia, next up, we'll be getting a nerf on the aspect of the Gilded Victory, the Unruly Magic. We're decreasing the projectile damage scaling from 40 plus 8 plus 40 to 30 plus 6 plus 30. So overall, bit of a touch towards the strength, bit of a touch towards the intelligence, and the base of that.
Aspect was doing good. Aspect gets nerfed. Numbers go down.
Great dev note there.
Yep.
Guan Yu, next up, is a shift for Guan Yu. This is more towards his passive, increase the attack speed per level from 0.5% to 1%. But the aspect of the general, his conviction, this is the one that I think a lot of people have been a little frustrated at times, where he can sustain a little bit too much. We're decreasing the heal per tick of this from 7 to 31, will be now 5 to 21, and also decreasing the healing scaling. So overall, we're not reducing the amount he can necessarily spam his abilities, but we are reducing the impact of those.
Yeah, just less healing overall in aspect of the general. It's a kind of favorite play to play him right now. He's not super popular in both.
Sure.
Which is why I want to make sure that we gave some compensation buff to the non-aspect version, where that's going to be a bit more impactful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aspect of the General was the kind of favored one, and when it was really, really good, it was a little bit frustrating, so we're just toning that down.
Cuckoo, some interesting changes here for the Aspect specifically. I know a few people were frustrated with this. We'll be seeing the decrease in intelligence from item mana from 7% to 4%, increase the mana from God Kills Assist from 5 to 20, so that's going up, and increase the max mana from jungle kills in the jungle from 1 to 2. So overall, like, just the damage output of this is going to go down with that, item mana transference really being missing.
Yeah, we've seen it, especially like kind of solo lane. Kukulkan be really, really good. The amount of just free stats he got from the passive was really, really high.
Yeah.
He'll have a bit more ability to farm and get that powerful from the jungle farm. But we kind of expect that this will still be a net nerf, even like if you are getting a lot of these stacks.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Okay. Next up is Mercury. Major Look is going to be seeing a bit of a nerf here. It was 9 seconds flight, so I'm going to scale from 11 down to 9 as you level up. And additionally, Sonic Boom. We have fixed the issue where this ability can now be used while crippled.
Yeah, small fix, but the Mercury is doing really well, especially the Golden Dagger works really, really well on his one.
Yeah.
We've seen him kind of spike up from that, so we just wanted to tone down the one poke overall, especially early game.
Next up is Morgan Le Fay, one of the latest characters to the game. The Empowered Blade, the passive, first of all. Symbols are no longer removed on death, which is going to be nice. And permanent intelligence has increased from 1 to 2. Additionally, the Sigil Mastery increased the inner damage from 50 to 55%, increase the outer damage from 40 to 100 is now 50 to 110, increase the outer area from 30 to 40, and new, if an enemy god is attacked by a mark of bodies slow, it will also apply the corresponding mark and symbols.
I assume that's if you walk into the slow field, you'll get the mark and symbols associated with it.
Right, which makes a lot of sense there. And additionally, a couple of fixes for Morgan Le Fay too. Shroud of the Wildfire description updated to include jungle bosses as targets that can proc area damage. Shroud of the Wildfire's debuff should no longer trigger from jumping, that's the most interesting one, because as a habitual jumper, I definitely was taking damage from that. Consuming Power should no longer hit marked targets globally. Additionally, while the aspect is selected, Morgan Le Fay is properly tagged as melee, which is a big one. And aspect consuming power now correctly expires when the duration times out, and aspect consuming power can now be used while crippled. So a lot of stuff with MLF there.
Yeah, I think the big thing is lots of fixes just to clean up some stuff. Morgan Le Fay was overall underperforming, which is why you saw kind of buffs there. The only part that got nerfed was actually the clone, which is somewhat of a frustrating part of the kit when it's really strong. And so we want to make sure there was impact elsewhere. But yeah, just giving some buffs overall to make her feel a bit more impactful, and then fixing things as we found them.
Sounds good. Naja, the next one on the list. So Naja's been through... Not turbulent is the word I'm really looking for here, but like he released it, was like, it's a little bit weak, and then he was like, he feels like I was like, oh my god, he's really good in certain things. And
I think it was only the aspect.
It was the aspect that was really like shining. So it looks like we've seen some adjustments to the aspect, but also at the same time to the base. So Universal Ring Toss is going to see an increase in the base from 80 to 200, is now going to go 90 to 210, and the initial damage is actually going to go up in terms of the strength scaling, and subsequent bounces will also go up. However, the aspect of the Righteous Flame, his passive, first of all, decreased the damage converted to heal, so his healing will be a little bit less potent, but also his Ring Toss with decreasing the subsequent bounce damage from 50 to 35%.
It's
very wordy, but...
Very briefly, yeah. Base Naja has basically been underperforming since release. We've been trying to buff base Naja to be more impactful, so hopefully this will put Naja in a really good place. And then Aspect was released, and people are like, it feels underwhelming, but it was like actually really, really performing well overall in the stats. But I was like, you know what? People think it's underwhelming. I'll buff up the numbers. In playtest, I think I had to nerf this like 6 times in a row, which is what the numbers you got in live release. And I buffed it like only a part of the way back to where it used to be, and it immediately became very, very dominant. So, people say the passive was underwhelming because like 10% like regen, like a passive that basically converts to 10% extra health is just really good
consistently.
And especially now that your 2 can kind of consume it for free, makes it a lot better. So we think that they can easily go back down to 10. And then the Universe Ring Toss, especially in the soul lane where you can bounce it off yourself to
if you're having a teammate of enemies.
So that one gave a lot of really high pressure to especially the solo lane. So bringing that down to 35% should also go a long way to making that less oppressive when you fight it.
Next up is Susano with a fix towards the Storm Qatar, fixing an issue where the final stage dash will go on cooldown if you cancel targeting of the dash. A lot of reports of that one. We did finally get around to doing it, which is great. And last but not least on the list is Thor. Aspect of Thunderstruck is getting a nerf here. Warrior's Madness passive. Decrease the initial damage from 1.25 per level plus 4 to 1 per level plus 3. Decrease the initial damage scaling from 10% to 7% strength. And decrease the slow from 30% to 20% over 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Is this one more related to, I'm just quite off. Like, is this more related to like the passive changes as well? Because I feel like this kind of came out of the blue this fall.
So Thor Aspect is like the preferred way to play him even in the jungle, which is not what we generally want. We want there to be like this is more meant to be like a soul lane tank style play, where
supportive tanky,
yeah. So it was just kind of overperforming in general. So we wanted to nerf it there, and especially because I think Thor, if I remember correctly, kind of ended up benefiting somewhat from the stat changes that we did. So if Thor is getting generically stronger, we wanted to make sure that was at least paired with a aspect nerf as well.
Okay. So overall, that is a little look at the balance overview.
Yeah, and it is also one thing, like the god balance is relatively light this round.
Yeah,
so it's
but it makes sense because you've changed the base of everybody. So like, yeah, everyone's got something.
And we had a few things like Kali was really, really low on all our stats. She was very little banned, both aspect and non-aspect. And we decided not to do anything because she actually got some base stat adjustments that are going to be helpful to her. Yeah. So we just need to kind of see how a lot of this pans out before we do too much more.
Can I ask you about 3 specific gods that chat has been asking about?
Sure.
Okay, so Uller.
Uller.
I can bring them up if it helps.
No, just like, I mean, you pull it up, but just like, also just like vibes. How do we feel about these
Uller
characters?
is interesting. I probably want to go back and do some more reduction because, again, a lot of these were vibes, right? Like I was sitting alone with looking at a spreadsheet and did vibes, and Uller functionally doesn't have an ultimate damage ability. He has 3 damaging abilities, but you have to stance switch. He's partially melee. So I gave him, like, I think I kept his stats a little, like, I don't think they're actually that much tankier. You want to bring them up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you were going to be bringing them up. So here's all.
Yeah, so he got, like...
I think mainly the one thing that we're going to care about is the mana regen and stuff like that is my expectation with all.
Yeah, so he got some base mana to deal with his abilities, but he didn't get as much per level, so he has to kind of build to support it. He got a few things that helped him in regards to, like, he got a little bit more per level health. His physical protection went up, but like I think a lot of Hunter physical protection went up. His mana regen being lower is going to be a huge hit to his playstyle in particular. And then attack damage also went down because he is a bit more ability focused. He is ranged.
Yeah.
He isn't like so there's some Hunters that are very much like pure stim characters, and so we've kept their attack damage high, but his got toned down a little bit.
I feel like this list is just really going to make everyone compare everyone like versus Anher matchup. Who got the better trade? It's really what it's going to be the case.
My guess is Uller on paper will probably look a little bit more favorable compared to some other Hunters, but the mana adjustment that he is getting is much more impactful to him than other characters. Like, I think for Uller is an example of a character who, like, if you actually don't go Sands of Time on him, you're actually probably going to really, really feel the penalty. And if you want to try and rush a Transcendence to kind of compensate for that, you're kind of losing some tempo elsewhere. So, like, I think Uller will just be an interesting one to look at. So that's Uller's stats.
Early game, it really is just the ability usage that you're going to have to play around. Sorry, go.
No, I was going to say number two of my list of 3, ESET.
Yeah, let's go look at ESET.
Okay, what do we do to ESET? You get my natural reactions because I have not gone through this whole list as well. So
you can see base health significantly tanked. Per level health significantly tanked. That's in line with what we did to Baron.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are going to play that kind of supporty role of ESET, you're probably going to either need to build a lot of like mitigations and health to kind of compensate for this nerf. You're not going to just be as freely tanky. Attack damage also went down. Attack damage per level did go. It went actually up.
Attack damage.
Attack damage per level went up slightly.
Just slightly. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read.
So at level 20, it'll be slightly.
Slightly stronger because it's just matched. But like you can see here that like she's significantly squishier, which I think most people look at ESET and think she's really strong, and especially in the support role, she's really strong. So like this matches more to kind of what like if you are going to go that more Enchanter style of supporting. You're not going to just be as freely a frontline for your team.
Yeah, the biggest thing to really notice in a lot of this for the viewers at home as well is the mana per second is that we're going to see a lot of adjustments too for everybody. As you go through, you can see Fenrir down here also dropping quite a bit.
And also mana per second per level, right? Because like it also scales just a lot slower.
Yeah, like you can see the level 20 amount for ESET. And ESET actually got a favorable base. I know 1.53 is like on the very high end. You can see that 7.2 to 3.9, it's like 60%.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, the one I've seen the most talk about in chat has been Odin.
Why Odin?
Sure.
I don't know. There's been, like everybody's losing their minds about Odin. I'm not seeing it in my elo range, but I'm not.
So a little bit of base health increase, but per level down. Some protections increase. Some magical protection increase. So I'd say general tankiness is about the same. It's just a bit more prop focused, which actually means if you build health items on him, it's a bit more favorable, and shield is probably a bit more favorable on. Regen up a little bit. Mana obviously way down.
It looks like honestly, Odin's looking pretty good right now.
And he's got the attack damage adjustment where he goes from 42 to 45. That's the kind of shift that'll basically a lot of those melee warriors go. Like if you are Odin, you get on top of a mage who decide to go into the soul lane, and you can actually do basic attack trades. Those trades are going to be more in your favor now.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah,
I don't think there's anything else.
That's it. Those are the ones that came up the most.
But obviously, these are all going to be available.
Herc got his special was per level health, so Herc is tanky.
5, 6, 7. Okay.
But per level, he's getting...
Yeah.
It's basically staying the same, which is really good.
Okay.
TLDR.
Cool. But you can all look through your favorite gods, work out what's good, what's bad about them. Give us feedback as you play the game as well, as this comes through. I think the movement speed thing for me personally is the biggest change, just to see that ever so slight incremental difference in how these gods are going to move around the map against each other, and have to play around that a little bit more too.
Yeah.
And all of these should be on SMITE Prime, you said?
So they're already up on SMITE Prime right now for you all to view and check out. You can see the whole list there along with the overview notes we just discussed too.
And these will go live as part of our Tuesday update. And I don't know if they're going to be on PTS, but
yeah,
maybe.
It's just unfortunate this type around because we just had a lot of stuff going on. We didn't get our balance. Like, we tried to get our balance in for at least the majority of it for the Wednesday PTS. But this round, we just basically didn't have any of it ready.
Good question in chat here. How are the other game modes, though, about during these stat changes? I think the question really is, like, is this going to impact the other game modes? Potentially, it probably will.
So for, like, Joust, it probably impacts it the same way we want it to impact Conquest, which is, like, every single wave in Joust, you basically just throw all your abilities all the time because mana isn't nearly as impactful.
Fair.
You are probably going to be more careful about how you impact your abilities. Especially the kind of mage supports are probably also going to be a bit weaker in that mode because they just don't have as much free poke and tankiness, which is probably, again, healthy overall for the direction of the game. For Arena, you're within pretty quick distance of a fountain. We played a little bit of Arena, and like we noticed that like after a really long extended first engagement, like we were finally going but it was like that felt natural, like it felt fair that like we had it was funny because Charon decided that he was going to take his teammates to our base at the start, so we just had a fight outside our base. And that fight lasted basically until we were level 5 and people were and it's like, yeah, we had a fight from level 3 to 5 and we're That makes sense. So we'll keep an eye on all of it. It may be like maybe Arena needs like a little like the crowd cheers you on and invigorates you and gives you +1 mana regen. Like if that ends up like I'd be down to do those types of things because each mode is
independent. Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like the chat really just wants a list of like what everyone's special stat was, which is probably a little trickier to just try.
Yeah,
and
Cuckoo's was mana, right?
Cuckoo's was definitely mana. A lot of Transcendence users, their per level mana was the thing that I chose to make like their special thing.
Okay.
Achilles, I know his like special thing was his per level prot, so he has like because he's like very anti-physical with his physical shield. A lot of mages, it's some combination of mana, mana per level, and base regen or regen per level. And then I think like Poseidon and Soul had like theirs more on like attack damage focused. Like if you it's probably going to be hard to like fail at guessing a lot of the characters what their special thing is, or what's related to. Assault people build regen items anyway, so they're fine. How did I decide the move changes per god? It was generally how much mobility did you have? Do you need to be in melee range or not? And how tanky are you? So the fastest characters are the characters that need to be in melee range but are very squishy.
Yeah.
The slowest characters are people who are ranged that are also like tanks. And we basically normalize that to be 370 to 380, except Chiron is 381 because he's a horse, and that's actually the reason. Like literally,
he's a horse.
He is a horse. Literally, Clumsy asked for it. Apparently, at some point, we said that Chiron would be the second fastest character.
I mean, it would make logical sense. Like he's got a giddy up skill as well. Like it makes sense he moves fast, not as fast as Mercury, who's the fastest god alive.
And Mercury went from 381 to 383.
Whoa!
So that's his special stat.
Okay.
Yes, Mercury is still the fastest god.
Yeah, I did make sure he's still the fastest character.
Was it really? I think it was only one time when he was equal with Vermana is the only one I can think of.
Yeah, probably.
When Vermana went big baby form, he had the same speed. That's all I remember. It's like 371.
I just like the patch notes that read like duh. Like another one was Uller back in the day when Uller's released. When he was disarmed, when he switched stance, he wasn't disarmed either.
Yeah.
That was a change we did. It's like because it's a different
it makes
weapon.
Sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be disarmed from one, but you just pull out the other. Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was fun.
Interesting bit.
Yeah, somebody says, I'm surprised PTS wasn't a priority with these types of substantial changes. I think that like we are going to be keeping a very close eye on this, like as things go live.
For sure.
And almost certainly there will be some hot fixes over the first, week of this, trying to see what's weak and what's strong and bringing it into order. Realistically, we don't get enough people on PTS to make strong balance assessments. At most, it's like vibes, which is really hard to balance on vibes. At least, from what we hear in PTS. PTS is generally better for finding bugs.
Correct.
And even then, we don't necessarily find everything before the patch goes live. But that's more the point of PTS is finding issues rather than trying to solve for balance at that stage.
I think that's the thing with the people saying, like, why using art on PTS? And I'm like, well, people don't actually play it that much. We really don't have that many people play it in terms of that. We would put it on there potentially, but it's just not going to get the impact.
Have you considered changing auto projectile speeds to make ADCs feel more different?
We have. You can actually do that with Agility Relic. We've even gone further than that internally. There was one playtest for one day. We didn't keep this, but there was for one day where like, what if hunters can just shoot really far? Like
there's no range.
No range. They just can shoot really far.
Yeah.
What actually happens?
Yeah, what would happen?
It turns out they sit really far away and just snipe you forever.
That would be a lot.
But we tried it just to see.
And it did have we'd put like damage fall off on it, so it wasn't like they were dealing max damage at infinite range or whatever. But it was a thing that we tried, and it just wasn't fun. So
I think the thing about Smite is a lot of like the core feels of Smite have been kind of honed over a really, really long period of time, and there are definitely things that you can do to play around with it. But like you'll break a lot of things about how combat feels pretty quickly if you don't kind of respect the stuff that's there.
Can you log into Dev potentially?
Sure.
Sorry, people. Okay. We didn't get to show off the St. Patrick's Day bundle, and
we didn't. Is it in there now?
It's in there now, and it has like the best name color I think we've ever done. So I just want to show it off.
It is good. That's already it's an auto equip in the office. I feel like for most people.
Yeah, like I actually don't know. Like I don't think I'll ever change it. At this point, so.
Yeah, I got the first name bundle and just stuck with one color, and I'm like, this one, I'm like, yeah, I'm sticking with this until something else comes out. I did get my Steam account back, by the way.
Nice.
I know we had issues with. Yeah, it just decided to log me out of everywhere and tell me my Steam card was broken. I'm like, great, this is fantastic.
That happened to
Caps, right? Yeah, Caps mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh, it looks like I've had the same thing follow
up. While they're getting that up, can you go over Assassin HP prots versus Tank HP prots? What are the changes in the logic behind them? So for tanks, right, they are generally slower. They generally don't have as much mobility.
Okay.
They don't have as much damage in their kits, and so the idea there is that they kind of make up for that with health. Assassins get the kind of melee, like you can think of it as like pluses and minuses. Tanks are slow, have generally low ability damage, and need to be close to deal damage. So they kind of need tankiness. Assassins need to be close to deal damage, which plus tankiness, but they're mobile, so minus tankiness, and they do a lot of damage neutral to minus, right? And so like they ended up being average to kind of lower, right? Mages can do a lot of their damage from range. And do a high amount of ability damage, so therefore they got a lot of the minuses on their thing, and especially mobile mages got more minuses. Like Giannis is very, very squishy.
Good. I want him to die constantly.
Yeah, so that's the kind of idea. Like think of it like the characters like strengths and weaknesses, and like that's kind of a plus or minus modifier in each of these stats.
Have we seen the problem with male and female skins on Reddit? Yes, we have seen.
Is that a problem?
It's
an opinion chat.
I have noticed the thread. I have no further comments on that thread at this time.
Real SJ, you messaged me like 20 minutes before the show. I'll get back to you regarding your tournament applications. But yes, we are always interested in doing that stuff. I'm just getting to Dev eventually.
Yeah, sorry. I had one that I was going to look at. But we can talk about this one real quick. Have we ever considered making jumping have actual gameplay implications?
I mean, we had it this patch. We had it this update. Morgan Le Fay actually impacted it.
We've actually talked about it a lot of times, and the problem comes down to jump can't be like people turn off jumping because they just don't want to be able to self-silence themselves. So jumping can't have an impact. But the fact that it shares interact, basically anything we'd want to do on jump is just going to be on interact instead. Like that's where like Mordred's special thing comes from, right? So that's where we'd actually do it now. The problem previously was like people would actively turn that off, so then they just lose out on the feature.
Jumping over abilities, you can do that with actual like jumps, but not your cosmetic jump, right?
I think we can show this on Dev. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it.
It's because of that thing that's loaded on the left-hand side that's not even there yet. But just give it away.
So if you click on
give me 1 second because I'm not going to need the audio for this.
You can see the name color already on here.
But yeah, you can see my name is in this too, but it'll display like this.
Yeah, it's so good. We figured, you got to get a rainbow for St. Patrick's Day because, the pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. There's this
yellow, gold, and white version.
Yeah, this kind of sine wave one.
I believe these should work.
Yeah, that's a badge. It's just a rotating shamrock. And then Fafnir fans.
You'll never find me gold now.
Can you hear that okay, Aaron?
I can hear it.
Never find me gold now.
We've grabbed a few quips from the Fafnir
Par gold one? Okay.
yeah,
okay.
Lucky Charm, whatever that skin was called.
I'll
Does this
go
count
through
that we
these real
brought
quick.
Fafnir over?
Maybe
Fafnir
it counts that we
exists
brought
now?
Fafnir? I'm not sure.
I'm a little
Does it count?
leprechaun short. I'm a little leprechaun short. Me gold and I'll burn down your house. Gold and I'll burn down your house.
It's a lot longer than expected. My apologies, chat.
Oh, so you want to get lucky? Don't we all, laddie?
Accurate.
Not even close, laddie.
That's
I like
good.
that one.
That's a good
That
one.
one's good. That
Yeah.
one's good.
I always like the one that like you can be a little BM with.
Yeah.
That's why the esports one is me going, I can't believe what I'm witnessing. Was like, this just works for so many situations, I feel like.
Yeah, so you get the 2 name colors, the rotating animated badge, and the 5 Fafnir
As all part.
St. Patrick's Day quips.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to click anything else, though, chat. Nice try. What else have we got in chat? Questions. When it came to the base stats as well, I did see this question in chat earlier. Did we factor in the aspects already, or is that going to be a potential look later on? I know you mentioned we may...
I basically ignored aspects for the purpose of this, and
Okay.
I was like, we'll deal with the consequences of that later.
Right. Okay. So the knock-on effects is what we're expecting to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this question is match found being stuck at 9 out of 10 players a bug or just struggling to find players? So that actually means that the game had made you a match with 10 players, but then one player left or failed to connect to the match for some reason. So in that case, what the game does is it tries to find a final player for the match for
A minute.
Yeah, it was about 60 seconds is what I was going to say. And if it can find a player that fits the match, then it kicks it off. If not, then it goes back to looking for people for the match. So it's basically just like, we almost had a match for you, but somebody dropped out at the last second. Let's keep the rest of this match together for just a minute and see if we can find somebody to finish it.
Could Yogis get banned for assaults and Strata's getting nerfed instead of being banned for assaults? I
got to bring that up. Like, listen, Yogi's getting taken out, and then we've got all these other regions. It's unfair.
I kind of
But
think
it is OP
assault
chat.
is assault, and you kind of sign up for what assault is because it just breaks some of the fundamentals. And there's only so much of fixing. Like, realistically, we get to the point that if the goal was to like fix it for forever, I'd start to do more things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people who play assaults have kind of gotten very comfortable with how it is, and like
It also
is
depends when
really
you started an
common.
assault. Yeah.
It is really common in an ARAM mode to just hit everyone with a 50% anti-heal. That is actually just a common solution that we've seen in other ARAM
That's a
situations.
YouTube video later today for somebody.
And I have proposed that option,
Do it.
and that option has been negatively received.
Rejected. Yeah.
So
Which happens.
that's what it is. But the mode is special, and so unless it's like super like they're like, I think people still have fun in Assault even though Yogis is there.
Yeah.
I really only want to ban the things that make it so like it just turns into a super stall fest where no one can make any progress.
That's fair. And I think that's the biggest argument. I think also, the map changes that are coming in this patch is to actually help with some of that too, regarding just widening the lane a little bit more and stop the turtle on the tower a little bit.
Yeah, especially now that you can attack the tower from multiple sides, I think that's going to help already. That's the kind of stuff that's probably going to be more helpful.
I will say it
overall,
is
just
weird
banning
that
everything.
Yogis is the only item that's not available in Assault, though, and there's other region items.
Yeah.
But it's really potent.
Yogis is really potent.
You know what's really sleeper chat, by the way? Chandra's. Don't tell everybody.
Chandra's is really good.
It's very good.
Chandra's in Assault is really good.
Somebody's asking if we can show the assault map changes. We did show those on Wednesday. If you go back and watch the VOD, you can see the slightly wider areas around the towers and whatnot.
Yeah, we have banned Mushroom too, right?
Yeah.
I think Amanita's off.
Oh, yeah, I guess Mushroom is off. Yeah.
Yeah, Guan, it's really funny. Guan should probably be in his own tier of healer. Like, I've run the stats. He actually does heal 2 times more than everyone else just because, like, he really wants to be grouped. Like, he is the maximal, I am really good when I'm grouped up with my whole team healer.
Giving everybody cooldown.
And you are fully grouped up with your team the whole time. So.
Should I expose the Yogis in Assault bug in chat so it gets fixed?
Da,
Yeah,
da, da.
if you use an auto build that has Yogis in it, you can build Yogis in Assault.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. We're not trying to. We don't want those things to happen, but
it's
they
a
are
known
slip
thing.
through things through. I do like how chat's like, I'm going to keep this secret just for me and my technology, and then they don't even build it anyway.
Yeah.
They just say, I know you could do that.
That would also really be an easy bug exploit check. You could just run a query and find everyone who does that regularly.
What do you want me to ban them all? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying.
I could do the query. Yeah, sure. What do you want to do with that query? Just give them a slap on the hand.
Give them like a.
Send them an email.
Give them.
How dare you buy?
Give them like a bug abuser badge, and they can't change it.
Bug abuser badges that are permanently on for people. I'm down for that. I mean, now you go down the path of toxic people too, because then you get a bug abuser. You're like toxic. This person's toxic.
It's only for the people who do things that are like really minor offenses.
Okay.
Like,
see, and then you have people like Daria who want that badge and then are going to do bad things because they want the bad. It's like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not the path. There was speaking of bugs, there was something you mentioned earlier about Giannis's Mirrodin bug, and if that was going to be fixed in this patch. It is not. So don't be looking for that. For those who don't know, I believe that it's Giannis's 2 does reduced damage on the second cast if you mirrored in it, like more so than it should or something. So
anything that makes Giannis terrible is fine by me. It's kind of my vibe. I don't want it on my team. I don't want it against me.
So I mentioned, I know he's not done yet, but Gomez dropkick felt rough around the edges. You pointed that up. I already fixed a few things with dropkick. Definitely there's some things that are temp. I know the camera was weird, but that question is the least helpful. Please list out the things that felt rough.
Yeah. I did this for there was a Reddit thread the other day that was like, does the item store on console feel awful to anybody else? And this is my least favorite thread because this thread pops up like at least once a month and no one ever has a single detail of what is not good about it. I would love to have all of your details about what does not make the console item store feel good because we would be able to do more to fix it. But like in split store format, it's pretty damn close to SMITE 1 at this point. And if there are things that are like blatantly wrong, we don't see them. Yeah. There's a few things about your cursor can lose place, and we've been working to fix those. So those are known. Like if you go to buy something, sometimes it can move. So those we're working on, and I think we got some more of those fixed this update actually. But like beyond that, I have not heard specific things that are not good about console item store. So please, if you are watching this and you have specific things about console item store, put them in as a bug report or something so that I can actually see those and we can try and fix them.
Just try to explain to us a little bit more detail about it. It really goes a long way. Like for example, if people report a bug and say, hey, this can happen in the game, it can be difficult for us to find what's causing that, and we have to go through continuously. But if you're like, hey, I was transforming as RTO and died, and then when I respawned, this is over the top, but I respawned, and then all of a sudden, I could just hear this bear noise over and over again. Like that helps us to identify like where the issue comes from, so we can work to fix it.
Yeah, the one thing I am seeing chat say is the not being able to swap the order of items and consumables easily. That is something that is known. But that's about the only thing that we have left on our list. So other than the cursor breaking a couple times, more so on centered store, it seems like it breaks. So we're definitely working on those things. But those are, the only thing is left on the list, I think. So.
Any news on the new iteration of the CD buffering? See, that's the downside of like talking about stuff and just kind of posting ideas is because like we have a lot of these internally, but then like the actual ability to get like any done in a patch is like low because we just have so much other stuff that we're doing. I do want to tackle that at some point. It's just going to be one of those things that like I think at the very least I know the next 2 or 3 big things I want to be doing before then, before I try to bring it up as a new thing to try. So like you're at least 2 to 3 patches away from us even having that on the roadmap to try.
It's weird for us to say that, right? We're 2 or 3 patches over. That's 6 weeks. Like that's crazy. Like we are moving at a rapid pace, but I think in our world it feels like it's a long way out. But in the viewers' world, sometimes it's like, where is it? And we're like, well, 3-4 patches. We're getting there. But
there's going to be a ton of other stuff before we get there.
I already know what's in 31 and 32, and then for 33, I'll have another character.
Should have said that because now chat's like, so tell us what's in 33.
Yeah, I won't say what's in there.
Yeah. They want to know.
So like,
you know it already.
Those are like the 3 things that I already know I'm basically kind of locked on, and I kind of know what the other designers are locked on.
Yeah.
So I just kind of know that like I want to tackle that. It's like in my top 3 list of things, but it's just like the other things have to go first.
Yeah.
Can we get 5 extra seconds at the start of arena matches? I feel like we need a little more time to gather at the buff camps. I actually would agree with that piece of feedback. I think that like for a long time it was too long, but now I think it might be just a tiny bit too short. That would be my hot take. I don't know how you feel.
Fix it, Pod.
I mean,
it doesn't have to.
It's pretty easy to add that time.
Okay.
It's actually like
sold.
That's really
Why
easy.
Fix it? when is Gilgamesh coming? Gilgamesh is obviously, you saw him on PTS a little bit this weekend. He's not this patch. He'll be probably the patch after.
Yep.
Yeah.
All being well. And obviously, as you can see on PTS, I think that's the one thing that always happens with these PTS gods that are showcased early. Everyone's like, these aren't even ready. They're terrible. It's like, yeah, but they're in progress.
I think
They're
Gilgamesh actually
literally
worked pretty well.
I think Gilgamesh is further along than I've seen other ones that have come to PTS.
Yeah, the only downside is I happened to fix a bug like the day before we made the PTS build, and because I reworked how the one tracking worked, and I left in the listener ability for his one that it also has the attack that does the AoE burst. So he was just double bursting people with the one. I was like, man, he's really like, his early pressure was kind of nuts in a playtest. It's like, yeah, because I just didn't notice.
Bank time for custom picks and bans. No, Hydra, you're not getting bank time. Stop being so lazy. You get a ton of time for picks and bans, and you're just sat there waffling, not picking, and someone don't pick a god. Just get better about it. That's all I'm going to say. You don't need ban time for that. It's unnecessary.
This person has been asking how a specific Uller skin sold, and I honestly just don't know off the top of my head for those ones. So sorry, I just don't have that information. Sorry. There was also somebody asking about how Conquest matchmaking quality has been going. Something that you look at a lot.
Yeah, I keep track of it. So I think the big thing is for the non-ranked modes, it's basically been holding. The improvements have basically been the same. I've kept an eye on things like how snowbally matches are, early surrender times, lever rates. Those are things that generally indicate like quality of matches as well. I have a lot of metrics I look at. And generally things are basically still in a place where like the queue times are like a third of where they were to half of where they were, but you're getting about the same quality of matches. That's probably where we want to keep it, and it seems to be actually working pretty well for the modes. Ranked is interesting because I see a lot of people saying like, look at this improved matchmaking, and they'll link a ranked post. And like, I really have not touched that. The ranked one side, I've only really been supporting it in the sense of like when we crashed the ranking of people, I changed some of the thresholds, and I've been slowly expanding them out over the time, and we're back to the old numbers. So that I haven't really adjusted. I do actually want to make a more major change there because I actually think that we have a system in place that kind of reserves people for high-end lobbies. But I think what ends up happening is if that can't get filled for whatever reason, you now throw to the wolves a person who's super high MMR who's been waiting for 8 minutes into the general base, and they just kind of grab everyone they can. So like I think there's actually a world where like I want to make more significant changes there, but that one I actually haven't done too much on.
I saw someone keep spamming about non-conquest changes. Obviously, with all the base stats of gods changing, they're going to change too. But going back to what we said about the arena, real quick, I did just look at the patch notes.
Oh yeah, we have other.
We have adjusted arena, increased setup time from 45 seconds to 60 seconds.
Oh hey, there we go.
So
Look,
great job, Pon. Like, listen,
Yeah,
it was
I
that.
told you it was
quick.
fast.
Yeah. Also updated the crowd audio mix, but there is the other changes really are like there's some stuff to assault which we've already mentioned.
Yeah, we were talking about stuff.
Also purple buff.
Oh yeah, and purple.
Oh yeah, we
Is
didn't
that
talk about
mentioned?
purple buff yet.
Yeah, purple buff got changed.
Purple buff got nerfed. Was it buff?
It's a change.
Nerf?
It's a nerf and
Nerf
it's
buff?
a change. So the big thing is
Okay.
that gives a lot of stats.
I will go through it real quick. Is decrease the strength for intelligence per stack of the first two infamy tiers from +4 to 3.
Yes.
Now only gains a stack once per ability hit.
Yes.
That's the bigger part.
That's the bigger part because basically what you could do is just instant stack it to full and then you just have a lot of power. The goal is that you have to kind of build it up and it kind of ramps up in intensity, and in longer trades is really, really high payoff. Yeah. We like that, but the just ability to burst it back to up to full stacks ended up being really, really oppressive.
Someone mentioned assault too. I'll quickly just go over the assault notes for everyone again. We increased the width of the lane up to 2 meters in spots around the tier 1 and tier 2 tower. We improved the camera collision on the boundary of the map. We increased the assist range during this mode. We reduced the setup time of this mode from 90 seconds to 60 seconds and increased the minion spawn frequency. That's pretty much a recap there. We have also decreased the minion XP reward and decreased the minion gold reward in Assault 2. So there is some individual map changes for Assault and Arena.
Can we bring my badge over? I actually do have an avatar from Smite 1. I
don't think it's that hard.
I don't know if we can bring it over.
We can.
we?
Yeah, just ask.
We have the technology.
You have the technology? Yeah. It's me with oak on my head.
We can have it, you know the spinning version? We can just have it spin if you want.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'll talk to Blake for you, but it'll have to spin just in a circle.
The thing is, I don't know how you give it away because like it just feels weird to give it for free to people. Like, well, who's this random person that is
Twitch
an
drop.
avatar?
Twitch drop, right? I'll throw it in there one week.
Could be a Twitch drop. It could also be like.
We don't have a code. We don't have codes, right?
Yeah, you could like.
We do, but you just give me more work. But yes, I could technically do a pawn redeem code, I guess.
You could potentially like pick a skin to come over or something, and then we put it in like the traveler with.
Oh yeah, that's like we did that
the
like
clumsy.
Yeah, we did that like we did like a we built our own bundles.
Yes, the build a bundle.
How do we feel about the Scorpion Camp's hit points early on? Feels like a raid boss on some gods.
I think it should be.
It is harder to kill for sure.
Yeah, I think it's good to have some because some characters just like basically kill the minis really fast and then are fine. Yeah. Like, and some characters struggle with that. Having something that's like people who are good at single target damage excel at a little bit of killing. It's fine.
I also want to say, I like the variance in the jungle though, of like not everything just being the same classic hit it the same ability and move on. You know? Yeah. Just a bit of variation to it.
Yeah, like maybe it's a tad too difficult now that we've slowed down jungle starts a little bit, but like I would want it to be harder, like noticeably harder than everything else.
Is Tahuti being removed, or are we thinking of a different solution entirely?
To me, it's probably the Tahuti passive goes away, and we'd probably bring in the meteor one. Would like that's kind of like my default pitch. Just because I think the multiplier effect either needs to be a lot less, a lot more gated, or it needs to be conditional. If we were to just keep it.
Can we get a safe lock when re-rolling an assault to prevent others stealing your god? Yes, we've talked about some of this stuff. We have a plan for something that we'll be doing there eventually. It's just prioritizing it against other UI stuff that we need to do. But yes, we do have some things that we want to change about how rolling in the bench work. So that is on our list.
I think a lot of that as well, Kilgan, kind of comes into like we have an idea of how it could be worked, and then we talk to the ambassadors. They have a different viewpoint. It's trying to find the amalgamation of what's going to be best. Overall, before we actually just throw it in the game. And then find the time to do it. Yeah.
Someone's asking like about potential new characters and like when we might do them. I think we've answered this before a lot, which is like it seems like people really want to bring over all the old characters in Smite 1. They're characters that we can bring over relatively fast to really improve the game quickly. That seems to be the thing we want to focus on. I think there is an appetite internally to do something new, but there's also like this does seem like the thing that people really want right now.
Yep. I would just say fill the bench at the very start and all these problems would be solved. Yes, we've talked about this as well. Basically, it feels good to push the button to roll and see what you get, right? Like that's part of the fun of Assault is like, I get random god.
The Gamba, yeah.
Not like I get,
this god or one of these
to pick from a pool of 6 gods. It's more fun that's like, I get random god. And then if I don't want random god, I could get another random god. And then if I don't want that god, then okay, I got some backup choices. I think that just feels better.
See, I would go the more pure strat of like, 1, don't give me even a reroll. And 2, if you're gonna give me a reroll, it's just a reroll.
Yeah, so we're
never gonna go back to that.
I know.
I'm a big believer in that too.
That was not the feedback that we've got.
Yeah, I know.
Down there. I think some of it as well though is like the reason the bench isn't populated is because everyone connects to the game differently too on different consoles and different platforms. So like if you have a bench that's already populated and you get in there first, just having a better performance PC is going to give you the access to it for a second earlier, which means you get priority and everybody else gets screwed. Whereas re-rolling and locking it for a few seconds for just you gives you the option to at least choose from the 2 gods you got originally before you get the bench. Obviously, we're going to make adjustments, but this is some of the thought process of why it is that way. I know that because I asked these questions myself of like, why have we not done it this way? But it is regarding some of extra knock-on effects. When will this be in PTS? I don't know what you specifically talk about. If we're talking about the God-based test, I don't believe they are, Pon.
I just don't know what our status of the PTS status is.
Yeah. That's understandable.
There's a question, did we see the post on Reddit regarding cosmetics rarities? Yes, so we actually did see that, and I believe we've gone through and updated all of those. I just didn't put it on patch notes because I didn't know how many people would care that we correctly updated some cosmetics that were tagged with the wrong rarities. But yeah, that should all be updated.
I think it's nice that we've done it anyway. And just should say it on Titan Talk. It's fine.
We probably should have. And then thanks to whoever it was that put the list together. That was helpful.
My theory just confirmed they are on PTS supposedly, so you may be able to utilize them.
Oh, nice.
Even better. Are you going to change the rank ban system to the Smite 1 version eventually? Or is this the final version? This was the same as the rank version.
That's pretty much the way Smite 1 ended, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you talk about an earlier version or iteration of ranked in Smite 1, probably not. I think we're sticking with this one right now.
Somebody's asking for more controller sensitivity options on console. Tell me what those would be. Just, and this is me being smart about it. I'm just like, I would like to know specifically what controller sensitivity options you're looking for.
Because you have Dead Zone,
Because I think we have most of them. That's why I'm like, there must be something that we're missing that this person wants. But for me to just like look through lists from other random games would not be super helpful. So let me know.
I'm going to mention like stick drift or something like that is one thing that was mentioned of like a centralizer or something like that. But I don't
but that's Dead Zone kind of does that, right? So Dead Zone sets the area in the middle that can't be.
Well, it is 2 o'clock, which means, 1:59, which means it is time for
one more question.
Pons on the ball today. Caps was not on Wednesday, just as a heads up. It's
Damn,
going to become a running bit of how the devs interact with that whole thing.
It's funny, too, because it was more automatic because I was reading it, so I just kind of said it without really paying attention.
Yeah, it just logs you in, you realize it.
It's got to be a good question, though.
That's always the hard part.
So I will say this is one thing that's a little bit difficult. It's add the option to switch the order of active items mid-game like R3 on PlayStation 1 for potions, right? So the problem is that you can have, basically on console, on Smite 1, you click in R3 and it swaps for potions, right? Cool, that's two things. One button, swap. Active items, we have 3 active items, right? So how do I iterate through the different potential combinations of 3, right? So like, do you have 2 swaps, but then you have to be hovered over it to swap? Like, it just, we've talked about this a couple times internally, and we just like haven't come up with a really good like UI solution for being able to reorder 3 things easily. And it doesn't mean that like we haven't thought about it. It just means we haven't come up with the right solution for it yet.
Can you also toggle aspects at the start of the game? You currently don't get much time to decide based on the enemy comp. I don't know if I want you to decide based off the enemy comp. I feel like that's kind of like, imagine the metagame of now both teams are seeing like, okay, I'm in solo lane and I know this aspect has a bad matchup versus one, and they swap, and so I swap, and they swap, and then I swap, and then they swap, and then I swap.
Whoever leaves base first loses.
Yeah, whoever loses, like, which is weird. I feel like generally, like the only case where I see this, like I don't want to support that type of play style. I could see an argument for, damn it, guys, I forgot that I am range collie and I was jungle. It'd be nice to fix that, but you can see the can of worms you open up by allowing it.
Yeah.
I think that like realistically, we just need to remind people, like do a better job of making sure in the match lobby
aspect question mark?
it's clear what aspect you are and like you understand what you're doing there, right? Like, because that's if you get past selecting your god and the game starts and you haven't realized that you forgot to, like, that's more of a problem with that screen to me than letting you do it later.
It is also a whole new, like, where does this actually live that a person would intuitively know to go look for it to change it. I guess it'd probably be the button, like the aspect icon that's next to your character portrait, but then how does console actually navigate to that reasonably? Like, there's a lot of knock-ons to that are like, it's probably easier for us to just make sure it's really, really clear in the match lobby and give you ample time there and ample communication there.
I can't find a final question. I'm sorry. I'm lucky, but Poncho stole mine, which I was going to ask him anyway.
Unfortunate. I'm sorry.
It's a good question, though.
It was a good one. I could just throw you one, and it could be the hardest one to
go for it. Like, what's it going to happen?
I like the give me your wildest smite do take, because this is one of those things that, like, whenever I ask you like what's your favorite or what's like the best or what's like the most crazy thing, it's really hard to actually answer those questions. Versus like
the only way you can do those is just impact the first thing that comes in your head and just go with it. That's what I've always found. So for example, with that one, it's like Ragnarok's weak. I don't know why that's in my head right now, but I'm like, I think that aim is so stupid, but also so much fun to play around. That's my take. That's my day.
There you go.
It's a good take. I was going to, sorry, unrelated thing.
I was going to end, but you can go.
Just super quick, unrelated thing. Time changes on Sunday for US.
Oh,
so
really?
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Do we sleep in an hour?
Do we get more?
an hour?
I only know because I got an email from somebody telling me the time change.
I just measure it by getting another hour of sleep,
forward,
or am I losing an hour of sleep?
It goes forward.
Yeah,
right?
Make sure that
Please.
Yeah, daylight savings time.
Lose an hour.
Clocks will spring forward 1 hour.
Great.
On Sunday. So
love it.
If you're in a different country, we're going to be starting the show at a different time.
I'm actually Monday. I'm a soapbox a bit.
Yeah.
Arizona has it right.
You're just in the middle, right?
No, Arizona literally just doesn't do this.
There's
and
a few
it's
places.
fantastic. Yeah. And I loved it growing up. It was awesome. And now that I don't live in Arizona, I hate it. It's awful. Like, my days on spring forward are ruined.
Yes.
Well, we're springing forward, which means expect this show a little bit earlier if you're outside of the US hemisphere, because the whole of the US will be changing at the same time.
Yes.
So I appreciate you all tuning in today. I hope you all enjoyed the OB30 balance overview. This stuff is available on PTS from what I've been told as well, so you can go in and check it out this weekend. This will all be available on Tuesday alongside Karen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you tuning in. And if we don't see you beforehand, we'll see you on the battleground. Goodbye.